Tshwane Mayor Nasiphi Moya has declared the water in Hammanskraal safe for consumption. It follows the completion of the first phase of the water purification project there. And our Sitheliswa Beja is following the story and joins us now. Good morning again. And we saw those visuals, that big moment of the mayor there drinking that water and guaranteeing its safety to the community. Take us back into how it all unfolded.
A very good morning to you too, Iman. And yes, we are here in Hammanskraal. You know what? It is a light actually at the end of the tunnel for quite a few people. And I say quite a few people because as we went about in some of the townships here, some places, in some houses actually, the water has actually gone back to being clear, saying that it is still slightly brown, but in most areas that we've gone to here in some of the locations, some of the townships here in Hammanskraal, the water is clean, and we actually also tasted the water alongside the executive mayor. Also tasted the water, and it does taste okay. It has been quite a long time coming. The first phase took an entire year. The mayor did explain that there were some delays due to that. The first phase was promised to be concluded before October, and she is actually here with me right now. She'll tell us more on actually what those delays have been. Executive Mayor, thank you so much for your time and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. So you said that in your statement earlier that there's been some delays in the first phase. Can you tell us more on that?
So when we launched the project in April 2024, we had 4 modules. The first one was supposed to be delivered in September, the second one in February 2025. So there were 3 major delays in the first one. So not to meet the September deadline, there was a rock that was encountered when the teams were doing the civil work, to a point where they had to move from, instead of starting with module 1, they started with the 4th module because of that. That was the first delay. In October, we had an incident where the mechanical work is happening, the electrical work was happening in City of Ekurhuleni, the substation bent down. That moved the milestone to mid-November. Now, obviously, we then got to commission the substation, the reservoir, the package, the module itself, mid-November. Then the purification started. I think in the main, when it comes to purification, what delayed the project was the water levels at the reservoirs, which was required to flush the system as part of the purification process. There were interventions with Eskom as well, just to make sure that the reservoir is always alive and able to provide water, so that the flushing process happens. That finished, I think, on the 20th of December, and then the testing started. So obviously the 3 months delay is inexcusable, but it was very necessary, especially the last part, that we did not want to come here and say the water is 92% safe. We wanted to come here and say the water is 100% safe. And from that perspective, we can confirm today, and that's why we are here. Obviously, we now need to deal with the fact that we are dealing with infrastructure that has not been used for the purpose of clean water. The taps you are talking about, the brown water you're talking about, it's because of the state of the taps, and now need to complete our project of installing meters so that these residents can start paying for the services.
And now in terms of the costs that went into the purification of this water, can you tell us more on that?
So between ourselves as the city of Tshwane, Magalies and the DWS, we all had a responsibility to do the testing of the water as part of obviously the requirements to certify the clean water. I don't have the cost in terms of how much was spent on it, but the work was necessary, and it's not going to stop now. That process must continue like we do with all our reservoirs, to make sure that the water that flows into the taps is always clean, and we can always by those results that the water is safe to drink.
All right, and lastly, 3 phases left now. You said that they will begin in November. How is that going to be out?
So the second phase is due to be completed February 2025, the next one April 2025, and the third one is June 2025. And when we are done with those, that means all the areas that are normally supplied through the Rooival wastewater treatment plant will have clean water as the intervention that was approved. Now, we said this morning when we were receiving the report from Sitheliswa, we'll come back because we normally have weekly executive meetings between us as the executive of the city and the board of Magalies to obviously check where the project is. We'll come back just to make sure that there's no shifting from those deadlines. I think we've learned a lot of lessons in terms of this module, and I think the team is more prepared for the second and the fourth module. So, but those are the timelines that we are currently working with. As we normally do, when things change, we do communicate with the residents and keep them abreast. And of course, the interventions that we need to intervene on, that's what we normally do.
Yes. Before I let you go, the water, some of the houses that still have brown water, would you advise them to drink water?
No, I would. Because that's what I was saying, the infrastructure is the taps. It doesn't talk to the water, but obviously if the tap is rusty and that water flows there, then obviously you can't drink brown water. Yeah. You would have seen there is one water tanker that obviously looks out after those cases. But in the most cases where the taps are working fine, then the residents can drink water. We've drank water in 2 different houses, so we can safely say no, water is safe to drink. But what we'll do though, our teams, because the reticulation is our responsibility as the city, when they come to check meters and install meters and replace meters, they must also check the issue of the taps.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Mayor, thank you so much for your time. All right, Imani, that was the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane, Ms. Nasiphi Moya. I asked this question because, you know, with the current state of things, in 2023, around 40 people due to the cholera outbreak lost their lives, and it is quite not safe for the water to be drank, and we really want to emphasize on that. With me here is some of the residents who were complaining earlier that they still do not have taps, let alone just drinking water. They don't have taps. Mama, earlier on ane re bua le wena o no tjho hore o batla meya a ba o kenyetse metsi.
Ba nketse metsi ka sekirileke ke nna ka sekirileke so ke batla ba nthuse metsi a le ba nthuse ke mokekolo ke moholo ha ke kgone ho etsa ntho tse metsi a kena ha pula ina re kenela ke metsi. So ha una ntho nka etsa tshantse ke ntshe ka dibati ke latlhele letheka mo ke le mmya mokana kana
yaanong metsi ntse le wa thola kae if
le tshantse re kopa metsi bathong re reka re ntse ditšhelete re reke metsi
so ba le rekisetsa metsi
re reka metsi mo sekirileke le batho ba na le ona ba re rekisetsa ona motho ka opang metsi mahala re reka ka di-2 ngwana mo
okay mama ra le
Yes,
okay, so Iman, that's one of the residents here in Skirlek, which is one of the townships here in Hammanskraal. Well, you've heard it from the executive mayor saying that it's also a case of, the taps around here that are not clean enough. So they will also look into that. Couldn't say much with the numbers of how much really was spent, in the treatment of this water. But going forth, we will also be going to some of the places or the residents where they are having clean water. And for now, it is back to you in studio, Niman.